How you doing, Dark Sun DM's players and fans? In today's video, I interview Luke Swadling about new Dark Sun content he has released to the community. He's going to tell you all about himself, his work, and his Dark Sun conversion of the Pathfinder Kingmaker Epic Adventure Path. He'll then tell you how you can get your own copy of the Sorcerer Kingmaker Adventure Path for free. Speaking of getting new Dark Sun, right now I'm writing and drawing the champions of the month and releasing them on my newsletter and Subscribestar page. The newsletter is free and every month has an awesome gaming accessory ready to download. Right now I'm in the middle of the champions of the month, having already featured Sacha, Kalak, Boris, Hamanu, and Ablatri. Tek Tuk Titlay is the champion for November 2022. In the newsletter every month, until I run out of champions, you will receive original poster art and a game token for that month's champion. It is also where the city-state of Balak will be released next year. Now on my Subscribestar page, I'm publishing each champion of the month's ready-to-play character sheet. For just 33 cents a day, you can have every champion of the month's character sheet that has been released, the previous month's game tokens, and scores of other game accessories. Art, NPCs, magic items, monsters, game tokens, maps, and adventures can all be found on my Subscribestar page. Check it out at this link, which is also in the video description. Thank you for your support. Just one more thing. If you want me to continue to find more new high-quality fan-made Dark Sun content and interview its creators like in this video, or if there's someone you would like to see me interview, please tell me about it in the comments. That's the best way to get more content like this. Okay, now on to the interview. Good morning, Luke, or I guess I should say good evening for you.
Yes, it's Saturday evening where I'm over here in Australia, so good morning to you. Hope it's going well.
Oh, I'm doing quite well. It's with our 14-hour difference, it's 6 in the morning here, but I'll try to muddle through. If I'm a little bleary-eyed, please forgive me. All right, I'm sure the Dark Sun community is eager to hear about what you've been up to lately on the new Dark Sun front. Let's get right down to that. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What's your history with Dark Sun?
I'm an Australian writer, and I'm a public servant in what free time I have. I've been playing RPGs for about 30 years, give or take, starting with the old fighting fantasy books and choose your own adventure books, and working up from there. I've also been making up my own content for nearly that long, just adding RPG elements to whatever I'm reading or playing. Whether that's new classes for games like Hero Quest or Talisman, or adding RPG elements to the game of life for, completely no reason. But it's been just fun to add that to whatever I can get my hands on. I first played Dark Sun from a friend's original box set probably in about 1993. And as a 10-year-old, it hit a lot of the environmental messages that we were seeing in the media at the time. So it was really struck a chord with me, especially seeing the different color palettes and really different ecology than you were used to seeing in traditional Western European fantasy tropes of lush forests and mountains, and it felt a little bit more Australian and a little bit more familiar to me, which was always great. I think my first character was a Thrycreen Ranger. So I can't recall what his name was, but with a couple of friends, we went through the Freedom module to begin with all the little flip books, and then just sort of went off script and role-played our own adventures across the burnt world together, which was great.
Cool. Yeah, I still do love the like you said, everything about it, the color palette, the art. I mean, as it's tore up, but Brahm grabbed me and never let me go.
Amazing stuff. Yes, great.
And then, like you said, that nowadays everybody thinks that the ecology stuff is new. I mean, back in the 90s, they were talking about global warming. So yeah, it didn't bounce off of us back then. All right. Yeah, that's very interesting. So when you're writing, do you work alone or with a team? And what's your process to produce work?
Recently, I've been writing a lot of quick digest content for a Facebook page called Game Master Stash. I did that for about 4 years, from 2018 through to early this year, but recently I've sort of retired from that so that I can let some younger writers in, be able to do some more dedicated work for myself and get paid for some writing work, which has been really great. That's mostly been with RJade Productions recently, on a couple of productions that are still coming out. So I've had a bit more time to do my own stuff, but with the weariness of the last few years that we've all been through, it's been a little bit hard to focus and really sit down and crank some stuff out.
Okay, all right. When you do sit down to write, do you do a lot of prep work beforehand, or do you pretty much like to let your imagination just take you where you will? I mean, like in something with Dark Sun, where there is a lot of canon, as broken as some of it may be, do you try to keep to at least one part of the narrative of that canon, or do you just kind of like, okay, I've got the general idea of the world, let's go?
Bits of both. So for the Sorcerer Kingmaker adventure path, when I was working on that, there was a fair bit that I needed to research, whether that was refreshing my memory on particular creatures and the way they worked, or what the geography was, especially around Barlick, which I know you've done some great work on recently. What the history and prehistory, going back to the Green Age and the Brown Age and the Blue Age, and how to fit things into Athos conceivably, so that it wasn't just, yeah, great, now here's a gold dragon, and, you know, no one would like that. But there was also a lot of being able to just sort of make up my own stuff and work it in a believable way, fit it into a, you know, little blank spot in the map that hasn't seen a lot of action, and making sure that things just kind of keep in their own reality, like anything in a fantasy game. You know, if you play Forgotten Realms and you just make up a little village somewhere, then that's not canon, but it feels like it could belong, having that sort of verisimilitude, that reality level that I've been going for kind of works.
Yes, that's definitely very important, to try to make it, to have a good enough understanding of the setting, the world, whatever, that your little piece fits in, even if you're taking a lot of artistic license. Yeah, so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly.
Which I've seen a fair amount of on attempts. Well, we'll say even with large high budget recent attempts at extending other IPs. I won't comment on Dark Sun because I want to try to encourage a feeling of community. So I'm not going to, and I know my stuff is by no means perfect, so I'm not going to throw stones because I live in a glass house for sure.
We all do.
All right. I think we've got a good idea of who you are and how you work. Let's move on to what the Dark Sun community has been championing at the bit for now. The Dark Sun content. What original Dark Sun content have you made, and where can DMs and players of the Dark Sun community get their hands on it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my magnum opus was the Sorcerer Kingmaker adventure path, which was about 30,000 words, which is my longest cohesive piece of writing. That involved reading and reconfiguring the entirety of the great work that was done for Pathfinder in their Kingmaker adventure path by Tim Hitchcock, Rob McCreary, Greg A. Vaughan, Neil Spicer, Jason Nelson, and Richard Pett. So this started out with me just writing some of my daily posts, which were based on old Dungeon Magazine articles and different adventures, and how easily you could adapt them for Dark Sun, just sort of a line or two or a paragraph, adapting them and showing how you could sort of reflavor this and just make it work in. And at that point, it was in about August of 2020, I was contacted by Clinton Boomer, who's a big fan of Dark Sun and big name, has done some writing for Paizo. And I've done a little bit of writing with him previously. And he asked if I'd thought about doing a post on reskinning something like the Kingmaker path. And I think he was expecting, you know, a few paragraphs on it. And I got very carried away. And 30,000 words later, I sort of churned it out. Posts, which involved sort of sitting down and thinking about it and reading through all of Kingmaker, because I'd never actually played that originally. And I was pretty hooked on the idea of, combining that sort of resource management and hex crawling and monster fighting, and having a little bit of on-rails guidance with a little bit of West Marches kind of freedom. I felt like that combined a lot of the old fun sort of elements of second edition that really felt familiar and really sort of stirred a chord with me, with the sort of simplicity of 5th edition and being able to make it quick and easy to play. So while there was a little bit of engagement with that on my own posts, I was also cross-posting that to the Dark Sun Facebook page to try and stir some interest there. And there were enough people interested that I got my way all the way through 6 months of weekly posts on it, bringing them right to the end, which culminates in a rooftop battle on another plane against a mad Pyrene princess who's trying to destroy the world and bring back a corrupted element of the Blue Age that she's used to, which was a lot of fun to write and kind of reconfigure the written work. Yeah, so that's available as a download on my website, on my blog, for anyone who's interested, and I'll pop a link into the video notes so that you can have a download of it there. I also wrote a little 5th edition starter adventure and some pre-generated NPCs, player characters to use as an introduction game, which I've run a few times successfully at a local convention. And that's available on my blog, and also I think in the files page of the Dark Sun Facebook group. So if anyone's interested, it's free to use there. That's called 3 Bells for Bitter Springs, and that's quite a fun little short adventure just to introduce some of the elements to people who aren't necessarily familiar with Athos, and give them an idea what to expect.
All right, that sounds awesome. I'll take those links that you send me and I'll put them in the video description to make it easy for everybody to find. Okay.
Fantastic.
Well, last week I went onto the 2 biggest Dark Sun Facebook pages and asked the community if they had any questions for you. And now I'll give you a chance to fill them in on their questions. Let's see. First, let me get on my phone here. This is from Brendan John Reed Prudai. I'm sorry if I messed up your name, Brendan. I'm unfamiliar with Pathfinder Kingmaker path, but I'm curious about how adaptions handle psionics. Is it an adaptation of 3.5 psionics 2E? Question mark. And that's that for his question.
When I was working my way through that, I actually used what's called a classic psionic system for 5e, which is written by one of the active people on the Dark Sun Facebook group, Frederic Leclerc, and that's almost a straight adaptation of the 3.5 complete psionics. So bringing over that entire system with hundreds of powers and a PowerPoint system. So for anyone who's played in 3rd edition or 3.5 using psionics, that'll come very familiarly. I've also experimented a little bit with the Mystic that was published in the Unearthed Arcana for 5th edition, which I found pretty nice and simple, and just a little bit different from feeling like spells, which was nice. I quite liked that.
All right, let's see. The second question comes from Carl Soriel. Once again, sorry if I've messed up your name, Carl. Carl says, sorry, is this a mod for CRPG or a resource for athos.org?
Not quite either. When Kingmaker first came out, they published that as a series of 6 monthly adventure booklets in hard copy and in PDF form as well. So I've used those, and then my writing is meant to be sort of used as in conjunction with those to reflavor for a tabletop role-playing game. The computer RPG came a little later. I think that was a few years ago. I've not actually played that one, but if anyone wants to reskin that to fit Dark Sun, I'd be very keen to try it out. Only a few thousand hours, I'm sure, to do all that work.
Yeah. For the love of the game, I guess, on that, huh? Yeah.
Indeed.
And as you already said, this project kind of grabbed you and pulled you in, didn't it?
Very much.
All right. And for anybody who's watching this, at the end of the video, if there are still questions that you have that have gone unanswered, just comment below, and I'll let Luke know that you have a question, and he can come on down and answer your question in the comments. All right, let's move on. Do you have any projects you are currently working on or are planning on getting to soon? Doesn't have to necessarily be a Dark Sun thing. What do you have coming out in the near future?
Sure. As mentioned, I've been writing a bit with Arjade Productions as part of their Call of Glory series, which is a compendium of unrelated, discrete 5-room adventures that can be used in a similar way to 4th edition's Dungeon Delve book. So that's introducing mechanics and helping players and GMs work their way up the different tiers of adventure writing, and what kind of things to expect. I've also done a few articles for Dice Ranger magazine, focusing on use of consent tools in role-playing, and also how to make cheap and effective wargaming terrain, which I've been using while playing Rangers of Shadowdeep, which is a great little sort of solo play or co-op skirmish wargame by Joseph A. McCulloch. And I've seen a few people using that for Dark Sun-based games. So worth mentioning here, because it's a fun little game. You can have a whole game done in about 40 minutes, which is quite neat. Most recently, I've been copy and editing on a product called Money Master, game mastering for fun and profit, which is due to come out shortly. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that one in print. That'd be great.
Yeah, I may have to get a copy.
Personally, yeah, I'll shoot you one. Personally, I'm really hoping that with the release of Spelljammer and Dragonlance and the other sort of more classic systems, that we'll see some kind of official Dark Sun content come out soon, because I think even if it doesn't satisfy everyone, we've really got to have some new content to keep the community alive and bring in some new blood, which I think would be great.
Well, I'm sure the community can't wait to see that. Just so that everybody knows where to find you, can you remind us where we can find your content, how they can support your work, how they can contact you if you're willing to be contacted? What are your links and where are you at? What's your website if you've got one?
Sure. Well, I'm on Facebook and Reddit, active in the Dark Sun communities there, and as long as we don't get too bogged down in the edition wars, no one needs that. My blog can be found at buildingpapermountains.weebly.com, and I've got a massive pile of free content that I've written over the years. That's got 100 or more different subclasses for 5th edition, masses of monsters and NPCs and plot hooks, GMing advice, magic items, merchant inventories, and a 20-page book of new spells. So it's kind of inspired by whatever's crossed my mind at a given moment, but I guarantee that anyone will be able to find something to give them an idea or something to play with there. So no matter what edition you're playing, give it a look. Shoot me a comment. That'd be great. Always happy to see that my stuff's being used.
Okay, great. And I guess I'll give you one last opportunity. Is there anything that we haven't covered? And I know I'm going a bit off script here. I'm sorry about that. But is there anything we haven't covered that you just like to mention or talk about?
I don't think so. I think I'm all good.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right, Luke. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us and to tell us about the new Dark Sun products that you've got coming out. I think it's really important, like you were saying, for the next generation and keeping the current people satisfied that we're putting out new stuff, and you're a big part of keeping things going. You know, keeping the fan culture, putting it out while even if we're not going to get anything from officially anytime soon. which I know is a hot debate now too, but we won't get into that because, like you said, that gets into that, it easily devolves. So, but thank you very much for your time, sir, and keep pushing out great stuff, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
No trouble, Chris. Thanks very much, and back at you. Keep making new stuff. Thanks very much.
You have a great weekend. All right, I hope you are as excited for the new Dark Sun fan-made content that is coming out now and in the near future as I am. If you want me to continue to feature fan creators on this channel, let me know in the comments. And if you feel you've learned something useful in this video, please give it a like. Don't forget to check the video description for all the links Luke and I have talked about. After this, my next video is going to be all about mulls. Then after that, I'll have another video that's an interview like this one. Until then, have a great day. Happy gaming.